Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome. It's a beautiful day. Doesn't it look beautiful? It is indeed a beautiful day. Hope you're good wherever you are watching from. It's 12:02. Today is Wednesday, the 16th of July, 2025. Wow. Um, the second half of the year is already moving really fast. I hope you are ticking the dots as it moves fast because it actually waits for no one. It actually does wait for no one. All right. If you do not do quickly, you'll be shocked at the ember months will be staring you in the face, and they will be looking at the year 2026. It will be the eve of the all important year 2027. That is the 2027 elections. All right, so let's see what we have for you today. Now, I had promoted that we're going to be doing a little bit of discussions regarding Buhari's death. A whole lot has been said about his death, from the premise of being a close friend for those who have also sent in their condolences from around the world. I see that the condolences from around the world is a little bit of limited. It's not as pronounced as you would see for someone who had spent 8 years in office, just left office in 2023. You would think that because of how influential the most black nation would be as a president, you would think that a whole lot of persons would be, all over him, all over his space, not so many persons in terms of visiting, or let me, flew into Nigeria to Katsina for the burial ceremony. One would say that the time may be too short, because as it relates to museum rights, you must have to basically fly into basically be told somebody had just died, and the Muslim rights tells that would always say that you must bury the person that very day the person had passed. So maybe for some it's just that they were not informed early enough, and so it doesn't really stop them from sending messages into town and stating their perspective, and dropping their condolences. I've seen Turkey embassy. I've seen United States embassy, the UK, and the likes. I've also seen African Union, ECOWAS, Economic Committee of West African States, also dropping their messages as the case may be. I just want to read a few lines for you. I'm talking about some stories that I find very interesting of social media. This particular story is one that everyone has been talking about on social media lately. I mean, let me just read a part of it for you. Reno Mokri, former presidential aides to ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, and the Northern youths known as Sariki on X have lambasted Peter Obi of the Labour Party for not attending late President Muhammadu Buhari's burial in Daura, Katsina State on Tuesday. Mokri and Sariki made their feelings known in separate statements on X on Tuesday. This comes as ex-President Buhari was giving a statewide burial on Tuesday, where the presence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and Yemi Osibajo, and other top dignitaries. However, Peter Obi was visibly absent during Buhari's funeral on Tuesday. Reacting, Reno Mokri questioned Obi's absence. According to him, Obi's absence at the late Buhari's burial showed his disposition towards the region. He further accused Peter Obi of being a pretender. In his message, quotes, President Bola Tinubu was in Daura from beginning to end, showing his personal devotion to General Muhammadu Buhari and his commitment to the North. Arewa, remember who was not there. On October 19, 2024, during General Gowon's 90th birthday, Peter Obi called him an enemy to be forgiven, his exact words. And today, when General Buhari, the successor to Ahmadu Bello, was being buried, Peter Obi was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, last week he said Nnamdi Kanu's trial makes no sense. Again, these are his exact words. This is the same Nnamdi Kanu who says the vilest things about Arewa and lied that General Buhari died in 2017 and was replaced by a clone from Sudan named Jabril. Arewa isn't the handwriting on the wall clear. In 2027, Nigeria needs a truly Nigerian president in Aso Rock, not a pretender whose true allegiance lies elsewhere. He wrote on his X handle. We also have this particular story also. The former President Muhammadu Buhari were on Tuesday laid to rest in his hometown, Dara, Katsina State. This channel have reported that solemn ceremony drew dignitaries from across the nation and beyond. Buhari served Nigeria both as a military head of state and a democratically elected president on the platform of the All Progressives Congress (APC). Although reactions have continued to trail his death, President Bola Tinubu and the ruling APC must now prepare for the 2027 general elections without the political influence of the late president. Buhari's exit came amidst the unveiling of a political coalition under the platform of the African Democratic Congress (ADC). The coalition is led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi, Nasir El-Rufai, Peter Obi, among others. The opposition has sworn to unseat Tinubu in the 2027 general elections. Okay, that's some interesting headlines for you, and that's all we can take for that. But again, for the first story, this is the period for political sarcasm, for scoring political points. Basically, that's what the time is about. The most part of it, people play the kinds of politics that that will give the other person the advantage, and that would possibly knock off the other person. So the only way you can play this kind of politics is by making the other person look bad. And we know there's a number of votes that comes from the north that everyone is looking out for. And so I'm sure that in due course, there'll be some sort of response, or maybe Peter Obi will just ignore those particular comments, as the case may be. All right. So let's speak to Tony Wachuku, who is a political analyst, lives in Enugu, works and serves in Enugu, and he will give us an insight into what he thinks that an average Igbo man thinks of the former President Buhari. We'll just speak a lot about this particular topic so that we could get an insight into this particular topic. Tony, thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining.
Should I join? Okay, is this on phone discussion?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a phone discussion. It's a phone discussion.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
You're welcome.
All right. So your first reaction when you heard about President Tinubu's death?
I guess you're talking about Buhari, not Tinubu.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry about that. I'm talking about President Buhari's death. My goodness, no, I'm sorry about that. What's your first reaction? How did you react to the death of President Muhammadu Buhari?
It was like bam. Just something like boom. And well, Nigeria lost in death, you don't talk about errors that the fellow or the dead person has committed. But very nice guy, worked so hard in life with minimal education. And I think the height of being president. He aspired severally to be president. Fired 3 times as president. Meaning that he had an objective, wanted to share, wanted to attain. And then the 4th time, there was a similar coalition business that is ongoing today. And we won. So winning, we assured Nigerians that he is president for all. Yes, he remains president for all until after his 8 years. Then there we are, 2 years after his last tenure. We exited the earth. And it is sometimes joyful when one attends a very 18 age before the party. That is not a difficult thing for anything. Because once there is life, then the next thing is exit. So that's how I look at it. We know the economic situation in the country today have its roots and foundation from the what I call the economics, the Buhari economics. So that's how we found ourselves today. Nevertheless, I understand from the wife that the old man apologized to Nigerians before he exited. So for me, he came, he saw, and he contacted.
What was his influence
That's
like?
my response to that.
What was his for you? What was his influence like in the North? Because if you look at the political landscape from 1999, we know he didn't contest in 1999, but he contested from 2003 up until 2020, 2014. Do you think his influence within that period was something that really that he tried to show for the people of his northern extraction while he was president for 8 years? Did he really show that with the way and manner he went about giving developments, giving appointments, and even that, even with all of those things, this influence, this his presidency did not even in any way change the indices for people of the North, even while he left 2 years ago?
Yes, there was, first of all, you give it to him. He's from Katsina. He's from a state in the northwest. And over time, the allies in that political zone, they have a wide range of appreciation or valuation of his personality. He enjoyed their support. They all like him. To the extent that they call him Negaskia, the Talakawa, the Almajiri. You know, Almajiri in the north is always hungry. Where the Almajiri in southeast is very rich than their life. So they appreciated him well. And that was why in 4 consecutive elections, he attained an a voter mark that is estimated to 12 million in each of the elections, constant. That was what his other correlators discovered, that this man generates 12 million votes in each of the elections, and he has been very consecutive in 12 years. Like 8 years of Obasanjo regime, and then the one he did against Jonathan. So that was how he came. And his exit key is something else, because he had good followership in that zone. And you know, that is the Northwest is the actual vote base for the country. And that's where the struggle is. That's where the new order, the old coalition order, which is the APC, and the new coalition order, both coalitions will be struggling. They will be struggling in that Northwest. They struggle for votes with intent. And Buhari is not there, but unions are there. Buhari is not there, but politicians are there. So that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but
The
if you
next thing is,
if you look at
they're listening to.
if you look at the indices, for somebody who had stayed in power or who had tried to gain power since 2003, and he finally got it in 2014, and then he stayed 8 years, You would have thought that maybe the Northwest would have been maybe Dubai or maybe, you know.
No. I was coming to that. They said there, the Northern Airlines, particularly, the Northern Airlines, I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. They brought in this governance, that is the instrumentalization of hunger in governance. They established it. The Northern Airlines, they established it. They're not like Southern Airlines. Then remember that the economic system of the two zones, North and South, is not the same thing. So people, voters in the North are governed using hunger. We were there. The only man who came about introducing the tourism that cut out for everybody was Atiku. Because he was the vice president there. The North wasn't as bad as it is now when Atiku Abubakar was the vice president under Olusegun Obasanjo. No matter how anybody looks at it, he showed out the entire North, and they had a team that changed the cycle of its own. You know, what I call the new blood allies that changed the cycle of its own. But they didn't last in power. They didn't last in power. One of the allies of that time was El Rufai, and El Rufai governed Kaduna State. But the people of Kaduna will speak better for themselves than what we are seeing. So the current allies in the North are not, may not be helping matters. And remember, as a president, we have little or nothing to do, because when you direct people to go, and carry out instructions, most people do that. Very good ones do that. Most of them do that half-heartedly. And most of them don't even do that. They just come back and tell you that this thing we're about to, we want to start it, but we notice that variations have already occurred in it. So at the end of the day, that's when you have these programs or projects that is inconclusive, especially in northern Nigeria. So they owe themselves one thing. They need to spread education. They need to change the cycle of the people. Education is the way, and it will remain the way in all things that we do. So there was no magic to do. The North cannot be Dubai. The North have few destinations, or there are few destinations in northern Nigeria that you can talk about. You can talk about Kaduna, you can talk about Kano, these are historical environments. You can talk about Sokoto, but I don't see much of any crystallization areas like Sokoto. It's still looking like, despite that state like Niger State and one or two other states is carved out from that direction. So if you are looking at a place that should have been, places like Sokoto would have been whatever you think Dubai is for the nation of Dubai. So that is the situation. But right now, it is becoming obvious because politics is degenerating. Politics is completely over, it's completely shedding away. Less what I call the minimal elites. We're shedding them away, and the real-time elites are taking over. So, and at the pace we are moving, due to ethnicity. I don't see us. I don't see Nigeria as a nation, Nigerian Airlines actually doing it because it's almost in every state. They don't create wealth. They create wealth for their pockets. That is privileged ones who are elected, however they were elected. They create privileges for themselves. And at the end of the day, the environment remains large the life environment remained the way it is. So there was no magic Buhari would have done. Buhari is just one man. And you have a lot of thousands of them on the streets there, riding very big cars, living in a very opulent houses. And then the majority of the people on the street are majorizing, begging, and all whatnot. So, and there is one essential thing that needs to be done in the North. Pest control system is very important. But that's not the topic.
You mentioned that he's an elite, but for you, I mean, is he not part of the elites from the north?
Definitely, the late Buhari is an elite. For him to come the distance he came from within the Nigerian army, all the trainings, whatever he did, the rank of Major General and the General subsequently crystallized him as the full General, is an elitist channel. So he's one of them. But, now, there's a difference in things you do when you have, or in your operational mode, when you are about, say, 25, 30, 40, 45. Once you are 50, even you will find out that a lot of the energies have been thrown away, consumed, and then technically you are not the younger element that were reasoning very smartly and then being clever at the same time. So you could be smart, which I didn't see you, but also I didn't see the cleverness because I was wondering. So at the point, you know what he did now? The economics of the country became a problem for him. Just like the economics of the country have remained a problem for the current regime. And that's why I've been in that advocacy. That people should stop coming to politics with their own agenda. That political party politics, is about the party. The parties should have their manifesto. The manifesto of political parties addresses a lot of issues. It tackles what the party feels like in areas of economics, in health, in education, in science and tech, in population, environment, development and usage. That's what I mean by population. So the manifestos do that. For instance, you see in a state where you have 2 hotels owned by a government in less than 30 meters, and this hotel is valued at billions. It's valued at, is estimated to have cost billions in constructions, not the valuation. So there are too many things that happen. And for so many actors that have been talking, I think the way to Nigeria is technology, is production. The system of high taxing is also a militant against the people because you don't have a developed economy. That's why everybody is crying. People are also crying against what is going on in the country because of dollar economies. You see, there's no production. The people are not into exportation. Very remote percentage of whatever Nigerian population is what's involved in exportation because they don't produce nothing. These are consumers. And then these are people who are into simplified commerce trade, simplified small, medium entrepreneurships. These are people whose businesses does not generate up to 20,000 naira and call it a profit of 2,500 naira per 20,000 in a day. So it's a problem. So that's why not just the North, for the entire Nigerian environment. So politics has left service. Politics has left environmental service. It is now self-service. So it's not just about the North. It's about the entire country. The secret is that the Southerners embrace they do direct adventures, and they do direct ventures too. They don't need any person. Like I said, the Almajiris in the southern Nigeria, especially in southeast territory of Nigeria, they are richer than their lives. Their lives are in the school. They are there with their chalk, teaching in one university or the other. The Almajiris are busy with business, or what I call semiconductor business. So that is what is going on. So Buhari actually is among the elites, but his scope of vision wasn't actually very well encompassing. Was not encompassing. He had an idea that citizens should be, but not just that you expected, or that we expected that the North should have been heaven or like Dubai. Remember also you have governors there. So this Buhari is not the governor of the state. Remember you have the Speaker of the House of Assembly, you have senators who come from various senatorial districts, you have members of the House of Representatives. These are supposed contributory service personnel in governance. But it changed. It changed in the sense that a lot of what we call base control of governance in most of the states were debates. So these politicians move in and do things the way they like. The actual structure, the operational personnel of the system were not allowed to run the system, and then that became a very for various of the states in terms of environmental development. So that's what I look at. There was nothing that he could do, but God bless him where he left Nigeria. Where he left Nigeria is incomparable to today's trends, to today's economic trends, to today's economic alternatives. It is not like that. To the politics of today, it's unbearable. So because you can see this hustling and bustling, and you can see what I call a patient desperations within politicians. So these things are the actual reality of what is on the ground, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, let's talk about.
Many people are looking at it.
Let's talk about some of the reactions from people who have spoken about those who attended the burial and those who did not attend. Peter Obi did not attend that burial yesterday, and so many persons are calling him out for not attending the burial, that it would affect him in 2027. Do you think in that direction?
Well, I don't think in that direction. You see, things about that issue is a reality. But that occurrence is a reality. But that issues this time don't actually impact. It doesn't impact on most things or how people look at elections. Yes. So many people, so many views too. Many people have their own views. And as I speak to you today, the only international visitor we had was the mayor of London. And you begin to ask yourself, where we are president of other nations? Or is it not the former president of Nigeria that died? So, government has Nigerians are already calling for reasons why they want to know why this man died. And then there's something just happened. Whatever his religious belief, Nigerians are expected to know the protocol to that. And then the protocol department of government, because it was a government area, the protocol department of government should have dished out invitations. You don't just say died and you enter plane and go there.
Mm-hmm.
On your way, if anything happens to you, what do you say? So it is important. First thing is to find out whether people like people. I think who was there.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Erufai who was there. Were there.
Yeah.
And find out how they got there. Did they just wake up, board their plane, pass to Katsina, or were they invited? I think he's the former vice president. There's no way he will not be invited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He must be invited. Erufai is the former governor. Well, he's a well-known person in the Buhari family. In fact, he belongs to the if I take the other room, don't take offense about that, but the room I mean is the room of the late president. so that is it. So Peter Obi has his own reasons. And let me ask you a question. Why is it that it's only the mayor of London? Mayor of London. In the entire globe, only mayor of London attended. And what was it that was wrapped? What was it that was wrapped with Nigerian flag?
It's assumed that it's Buhari that was wrapped now. And that's the culture. That's the tradition.
You don't assume. I have witnessed several areas of president of nations, whether former, whether now. There is no way, even the Pope, who is the head of a religious faith, he was displayed. People had the opportunity of coming close. It's not only Christians that went to Vatican to attend the burial of that place. Many presidents of the world, the American president was there, the British prime minister, most of the European prime ministers or presidents, no matter depending on their colleagues, they were there. Most African head of state or presidents were there. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I get your point.
Hold on. I didn't see presidents from Tunisia. I didn't see presidents from Algeria. I didn't see presidents from Egypt. I didn't see presidents from Islamic countries like North and South Sudan. Though they are at war, but somewhat they escaped to attend such functions. I didn't see people from Saudi Arabia. I didn't see people from Dubai. I didn't see them. And yet, these are destinations, these are designated countries where this president also was interacting. We had a bilateral relationship with them. So there are so many things I could say. Buhari is not on the don't dare list of United States. The vice president should have been here if the president is indisposed. Sama, if he was indisposed as a prime minister, should have been here because Britain is the colonial master of Nigeria. So there are so many things to be queried. And Nigerians should have been given the opportunity of seeing their former president live. There's no reason to that. Nigerians should have been given the opportunity to witness their former president lying in state. You don't know wrap him up. Islam did not say do not show. I own the Quran. I go through the Quran line by line in the other surahs. There's no way you cannot lie in state. The rule is that you must bury him that same day. Okay? Mm-hmm. And this man was kept in a mortuary. Was he kept in the mortuary wrapped? Because he spent a night or two in the hospital where he is seated, and they didn't keep him on the bed. He was kept somewhere that regulated his system so that the dioxide transmissions that come out from him because he was lifeless could not disturb the environment. So he was there. He's a Muslim, so there's no excuse. Nigerians should have been allowed the opportunity of seeing their president lie in state. He can be kept. At that point, it was not an Islamic business. It was a Nigerian business. At the point of bringing him, placing him, that he was lying in state, and look at the environment where he was kept. Look at the environment where he was displayed. You saw disorganized, non-organized. The videos are there. So these things are factors that one can see. You may have, you don't know whether it will be a bought ticket, and then took a glance of what is going on. Star TVC transmitted it, channel transmitted it, and these things are the issues. So we don't blame any person that's going. If it affects this presidential campaign, well, so be it. But also, don't forget that Odutu could be ill. On that day of the burial, he could fall ill, could be very sick. Don't forget. So I don't see that as an issue. And then on this point,
the issue is
let me stamp my contribution on that. That president should have been presented. Nigerians should have seen that it's their former president that was lying in state, not a rat matter. Not a
but that may not be rule. That may not be the rules. That may just be how the family wanted it to be. It's not everybody that lies in states.
That president was Nigeria's former president. That president did not if he was in his house and he's a farmer, then the family will control. So why did government go there? The president was there. The vice president was there. Former ministers, former vice presidents, they were all there. So showing that it is not proper family, whatever. Government took possession, absolute control of that area. And government, since it was government of Nigeria, they should have allowed Nigerians to at least see their former president lying. Not a rap matter. That's the truth. That's the truth. So
all right.
That's my solution to that.
Fine. So on a final note now, for you as someone who lived in the Southeast, how do you think an average Igbo man would see President Buhari now that he's passing? I mean, and all of his contribution, we know of infrastructural development, the second Niger Bridge, the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, some of the infrastructural development that is attributed to him. Some others would also raise the concerns about the human rights violations with IPOB, prescribing IPOB and naming it a terrorist organization, and also shooting the extrajudicial killings that happened in October 2020 at Lagos State, and of course the killing in Anambra State. So many things that you can point towards and say, look, an average Igbo man did not in any way enjoy a bit from his administration. What's your take?
Well, I don't know what people call enjoyment from an administration. What I know that citizens enjoy from a governing administration is the growth of their GDP. That is the growth of their gross product. That's what I know that citizens enjoy. They do that, enjoy healthcare, they enjoy education, they enjoy utility provision. That's what I think. The enjoyment is at affordable rates. But for the issues, security issues you have raised, my brother, no part of security is an enjoyable thing. The person that's protecting you does not make it. He doesn't enjoy standing, monitoring instead of sleeping in his house. He doesn't do that. The person protecting you is busy working working so that you will not be afflicted or will not be whatever. And the same thing happens to also victims of personnel, government that were supposed to protect you by way of whatever. So these things are issues. And then don't forget also that most actions government take come from their intel. Most actions government take come from their intel. And don't forget also that government does not get an intel and immediately and put it to use immediately. They monitor it, and then when they are sure they've received a gross intel or somewhat maximum or medium intel, they review this intelligence findings. They review it, and they have their own measures. They have their own ways of saying, okay, this thing has prolonged, now we are going to do this. This thing has obtained, now we will do this to stop it. The other one has happened, but it's not this. We were able to control it immediately. That is by being proactive. So it depends on these things that have happened. And my own is that we all went to war in this country. There was a war between a segment of the country and then the eastern segment of the country. They called it civil war. In as much as consistently, I have not seen anything that's civil about the war. What I've seen is it is war, it is war. Even the one that is happening in Israel and Hamas in Palestine, nobody can say it's a civil war because both sides are equipped. They have their rockets, they have their jets, they have the land army with their guns, and they are shooting at each other. The same thing is going on in Ukraine. So we experienced that war, and then what I would say is that we have somewhat told ourselves that we should forget, but the history remains with us. So Buhari himself, I had a play tape where his voice, I heard his voice where he was appealing to Nigerians to pardon him. He didn't say Southeastern, he said Nigerians. So for today, we are still Nigerians. And my own is there is joy in forgiveness. There is also a reward in tolerance. This thing is the way I look at it. So,
but what can there are so many persons who also think that he didn't do well in healthcare, because if he did well in healthcare, at least he would have built a befitting hospital that would serve governors, that would serve people of his standing. I mean, we budget every single year billions of naira in presidential clinic that is not even used by the president. I mean, so you so you wonder when.
The secret of this environment is that politics is no longer service-oriented. Politics has been personalized. Otherwise, where would any governor enter place and go to another man's land for treatment? And yet we have wonderful number of specialists, doctors in varying human studies. So, like me, for instance, if I have fever and I go to hospital, I go test there, they give me drug, it heals me. So I don't know what is special about them. But it is because of that politics is now self-serving instead of for environmental service. So this is the problem. So there's no way. For him, he's gone. But talk about those who are alive. What are they doing? What are they doing? For today, he's still president of Nigeria. Still travel abroad for his own health. That the meaning is, no, they don't trust indigenous doctors, no matter how professionally qualified they are. Politicians in our various seats of governance they don't trust the indigenous medical doctor. So meaning that something is wrong somewhere. And that's why we need people that can get that.
But again, the irony is that the locations they go for those treatments, Nigerians are the ones who work in those hospitals as doctors and even as nurses.
Nigerians mostly are the people who work in those hospitals, but at what cadre? At what cadre? You see, there are ladders the white man will allow you to climb. There are ladders he will not allow you to climb. If you bring in a former president there, just like nobody knows what late President Buhari's ailment, the sickness he suffered, nobody knows about. But you will see that even the British monarch, his ailment, his type of ailment, which is cancerous, is known to the world. They don't hide this thing.
Yeah.
They will tell you, this man is suffering this, and we are working so hard. The Pope himself that died, the pontiff that passed away, they made known what he suffered, and he was still cancerous. Okay? So, but for African president, not just Nigeria, they want to bury it. And you ask yourself, why? Why are you burying it? When you're in public service, a lot of their bodies are analyzed. And then so many things happen to your system. Because don't forget that our genetics teach a lot about us. So I'm sure most of the people who are president, their fathers, their various late fathers, were never councillors. So you don't know how they came about. You don't know how they were reproduced, the reproduction process, what the father was. You know, I don't know how to explain. I'm not a medical doctor, but that it has to do with genetics. Your background, what you call a family line, the sickness, what was obtainable in their place, due to the level of healthcare system they had in their own time that couldn't manage them. So that is what it is. They must look inward. And remember what the other thing I said, that politics have to change. Because if the law says that vote is for the political party, why should a member of the political party, people now say, John constructed this. John, you see the way we're talking about right now. For me, whatever is the poor performance of that regime is the poor performance of the All Progressive Congress. That is the truth. It's not that there is no political party called right. Okay? And whatever Nigerians are also undergoing today is the shortcoming of All Progressive Congress. Subsidy is gone, Naira is floated, plus other issues. It is because of, we don't know what the All Progressive Congress manifesto on this line. We have not seen it. Nobody has seen it. They don't share the manifesto to the public. So to surround us, it is time in the next election. Political parties must produce. Let them use that million they share to people. Let them use it and produce their manifestos. Let them publish their manifestos in leaflets of billions so that citizens can lay hands on it. They will have, what do you call it, that share flyers in public occasions. Once they come to campaign, the first thing to ensure is that those who attended the campaign have their manifesto, even if it's by word of analysis. If it is starting point manifesto or the development manifesto that is in their manifesto or whatever, you reduce it so that citizens can see it and say, okay, this man said if they enter, not him. If they enter, we will not have subsidized water. Because of that, we will not vote for him. The Nigerians need to know. So, please, I'm begging you specially, put the money in your party. Let the party publish their manifesto and share the published manifesto leaflet in every campaign when the campaign starts. There is need for people to know why you want to govern them. There is need for people to know why they will cast their vote for APC or ABC or PDP or Labour Party or any other party for that matter. It is about manifesto. Because there are things you will see in manifesto that can turn around votes, that can swing votes. And then people will say, no, who votes for this? They will kill us with this. We can't do that. So, because you notice that what the citizens experience is somewhat short attack. Somebody was saying, please vote for me, I'll make things better. And then immediately he moves in, bam, things change. Nigerians are not used to this type of thing that is ongoing, despite the government policy. So, but we need the party manifestos to get to citizens. We need electronic education. APC must fund, parties should be paying television advertisements or even discussions. Parties must market their manifestos using televisions, using radios, using social media. These things are things political parties must do. Using any other channel, emails, WhatsApp, use it to educate the people that if we ever come back, this is what we'll do. Or if you like us, this is what we want to do. This is my submission. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Tony Wachuku, for your time. We truly appreciate for sharing your... But on the final note, I just wanted to ask if you would give us an insight into what you think today's leaders, seeing that Buhari had died at age 82, what you think today's leaders can learn from what he did, what his legacies were, and then moving forward, what exactly they can pick from discussions like this.
What they stand to pick is not about the people that is discharging the mandate of the party. What they stand to benefit from this discussion is collective. It's about the political parties. Those that are listening, those that have a voice, they should pick up the senses, what I call established statements of reality that have made a way of contribution in this discussion. One of it is that political parties should stop sharing money. They should use that 1,000. They should use their 5,000. They should use their 10,000. Go and print your manifesto. Print your manifesto in billions so that as you campaign nationwide, if you are coming to a place like Omaya, once you get to the venue, the first thing the people attendees will get is manifesto, so that they don't vote for you without knowledge of what your party or the party intend to do. I repeat, the vote is for the party. Those there that answer governor, deputy governor, House of Assembly members, speaker, all these things, they were not voted in their personal capacity. They were voted in a lawful capacity because the law says that the political party must sponsor your election and the vote is for the political party. So what citizens will hold responsible in any time, that's what they should know. They should know that if people are in pain, there will be nobody like John, Musa, Shola, Fubra. You can't see any of them on the ballot paper. What you see on the ballot paper is the party name and their logo. It is very important. So there is need for parties, instead of sharing or giving inducements, financial inducements to citizens, give them your manifesto inducements. Induce them with your manifesto. So that they will look at what you have done and know or what you intend to do and know whether it will crash their SME or their house rent or, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So these things are where I look at it. That is the thing.
All right, Tony Wachuku, many thanks for your time. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Have a very good afternoon. All right, Tony Wachuku right there giving us his own perspectives as it relates to what exactly an average Igbo man would feel when it comes to with Buhari as a leader, something I will always say is that where whatever you do really as someone who is living on this planet, everything that's got a beginning must have an end. While Buhari led, it felt like the 8 years wasn't going to come. Some persons were choky. In fact, that was a period that we started hearing about the issues of marginalization. The talk about marginalization really shut up under his watch, and instead of basically addressing the marginalization talk, he tried to you know sway on the minds and even rapidly you know stop those who were trying to express themselves in the way and manner that they basically did. So sometimes it's not even about what has happened afterwards. It's about what you're doing at the moment. And I'm sure that leaders today would look at what has happened in the recent past and speculate what would happen in the nearest future. And as a president, the resources comes to you. What do you do with the resources? Distribute as much as possible to the you know to every part of the country adequately. He was accused of marginalization. He didn't want to address it, and that's why the likes of Nnamdi Kanu are still held in captivity today, because he spoke against the marginalization of the people of the southeast. Beyond that, we know that there are a few infrastructural development that happened under his watch, but we know about the extrajudicial killing, the so-called war shooting, the October 20 NSAS campaign, that happened in Lagos. So all these things, the police brutality, actually, the campaign against police brutality happened under his watch. So even though you could speak a little bit of highs from his administration, you could pinpoint certain lows. Under him we had two recessions. The recessions occasioned by world economic downturn, and of course our own policies as well. It was under him that we had Naira moved from 330 to over 700. It was under him that economic downturn was really visible in the pockets and the minds of people, except those who are in government and probably who are even doing business, even brisk business. They were really enjoying it at the time. So, be that as it may, it has happened that he has passed on, and all I can say is let the leaders who have come after him, whether they are governors, local government chairmen, or whoever they are, let them look at this man very well and look at the life that he lead, and look at what they can do to better the life of Nigerian youths and the populace, as far as these are basically concerned. I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you for joining us. We are back shortly, very, very shortly, because we have Mike Ubani, who will be joining us shortly for his own perspective as it relates to the issues regarding the Igbos and the Southeast. Mike Ubani is the publisher of Summit newspaper. He'll be speaking to us shortly, so do not go too far. In another 10 or at most, or at the very least, 3 to 4 minutes, let's put it at 5 minutes, we're back in a short period of time in order to get his perspective as it relates to these issues. All right, stay with us. We are back after this.
Would you miss your ex-president?
I like how
Would you miss your ex-president?
I like how Northerners are coming out to tell us to control population. I like how Northerners are basically giving alternative drop his ambition and support Peter.
Yes, I wish.
Because it is a no-brainer. It's the same no-brainer situation that happened in 2023 that made
How much is that?
that same thing will most likely left. And if it does, sometimes politicians don't caution. Sometimes the actions that comes after some decisions that you have taken. The reason I say that is because this is the turn of the South. You can't just come and truncate it. It is even a no-brainer in the first place for him to even go ahead to contest the elections in 2023. There is no way in the world what Buhari has done for 8 years. In northwestern Africa, you will now come from the northeast because you are an having contested for the presidential election for 6 times. Then the country will now come and vote you from the northeast to now become the president of the country. And truth be told, Atiku was the one that secured Peter Obi's chances. Not the other way around. Let's just clear it. Because there's no way power should have been looked and shifted to the south. And after all, Erufai is a non-cluster. After all, those governors, those like 6 or 7 of them, that came out and said, look, Buhari have done 8 years. We love power. Northerners love power. That's almost close as we are born with. Not like the Southerners. Southerners, once we go into the power, they continue their life as long as they are able to wake up, go out, seek one of the things to eat that particular day, or maybe to do their business. Life continues. Being in power is not something that is the go-to thing for average Southerner. But the Northerners, power is where he eats from. That's where he thinks he can make more change. They're not as dynamic and as much as industrious as we are in the South. And also, upon all of that thing, they said, no, they would have played the power in such a way that they would have played into the hands of making Atiku the president. They would have done it. But because of Jagaban, the way he was forceful, used money, everything. But we know the role that Buhari played. Buhari did not, even including his body language. Body language keeps putting out everybody should go there and contest anybody that emerges. But trust me, if Asiwaju did not emerge, if Asiwaju did not emerge at the primaries, in fact it was a foregone conclusion. The last kettle was to make sure that Atiku wins. Yes, they wanted to make Atiku the president, but the force of Atiku Jagaban was just too much, and they needed and everybody now gave up as to this guy, his force is too much.